Yo, what's up, Vibers? We have a brand new balance patch that just hit, and in this video, I'm going to go through it as quickly as possible just to update you on exactly what has changed this morning as of Sunday, December 8th. Nobody's balancing the game. Somebody's actually balancing the game, guys. It's them. They're trying. Um, they're still trying to figure out the rhythm of patching, so that's why we got this random hotfix patch on Sunday. But this is also due to a lot of community feedback, and so they're looking to react to, what the overall feelings are in the Discord and community providing feedback. I wish it didn't AFK you so fast in practice, dude. I like hanging out in here, but it's annoying that it AFKs you so fast. All right, so the biggest changes hunter-wise are Hudson, or the only changes hunter-wise are to Hudson and Brall. And so basically, Hudson got pretty significant nerfs here. And I think, a lot of players were sort of feeling the oppressiveness of Hudson's range. Like he's sort of like this turret character, right? And he's meant to be able to hold space and hold ground really well. But with the multiple dashes and the range he had, combined with the damage, he could sort of push forward and exert that zone of control, while like sort of chasing and like on the go. And it's looking like they're basically trying to like turn that more into his intended play style, which is being able to hold his ground very well, but not necessarily like super good at like charging forward and just mowing everyone down at Mach speed with a giant machine gun, right? So basically what they did is they reduced his charges from 1 to 2. So that's big. I mean, that's literally, half value of what it was. So that definitely hurts a bit. But the cooldown was reduced. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So since the charges went down, the cooldown was reduced a little bit. And so at 2, you'll have an 8-second charge cooldown, but there won't be extra charges now. So basically like lowering his mobility so he can't like float that turret forward so reliably. And the fact that with 2 dash charges, he could do that twice in a row, I think is what made it feel so oppressive to play against. His range got another drop off. Remember, we saw a reduction to this from 1500 to 1400 in the last patch. So another 100 down on his base range. And then when he holds the R&B to spin up, he got another 50 range reduction off of that. Base damage reduction of 3 and AP ratio damage reduction of 3%. So, it's kind of like a slight base damage reduction and then probably a little more significant AP percentage reduction. And then we also have some nerfs to Q his barbed wire. So they reduce the activation time of the wire to like kick on and ground from 0.6 seconds to 1 second. So it's going to take like a full second to like actually turn into barbed wire. And the range is way down. So 500 reduction on that. It was a pretty far throw, but that's a pretty giant nerf. So Hudson's not going to be able to throw his barbed wire like nearly as far. He's going to have to like set it up more positionally like around him versus like throwing it out to try to catch people. All right, next we have the Brall changes, and I'm just going to like read this because it's funny. We're going to project forward into the future for a second, say Wednesday, where we ship a Brall buff saying he's underperforming across all MMRs, which was true. Future us got a lot of feedback that regardless of math, Brall is feeling oppressive to play against. So Future us came back to warn Present us, so Back to the Future action, and Present us agrees. So here we are addressing some combination of bugs and unintended interactions Future saved. As a high mastery hunter, we hear that he should be harder to play. So there was an unintended interaction with Flame Step where dodging ally or your own projectiles built up the Blazing Spirit passive. So that's supposed to be when you dodge like enemy projectiles, you build up extra stacks of your passive to like keep it capped with that rage, right? And then the biggest changes are to the R. So cooldown reduction on Wisp execution reduced from 100% to 25% of max cooldown. So before you could smash a Wisp with your R and it would instantly reset the cooldown, this 100%. So now it's only going to give 25% per Wisp. So like if you slam 4 Wisps like back to back, it'll be back up, but it's not going to give you that instant reset off of Wisps. It still is going to give you the instant reset off of knocking enemy hunters. And this also used to reset its cooldown on minion kills, and this was also an unintended interaction that they've removed. And this is the one I'm most disappointed about because a lot of times Theorycraft will like leave these things in because they're cool. And like I guarantee you the developer that made Brall, JMO, was like jumping around with this all the time because he loves this stuff. But I think it was like an unintended interaction. So sadly they're taking out. But this is what I showed in my Brall video last week where basically he, or I guess that was earlier this week, where he can jump immediately following his ult and get a bunch of air like hang time. So that's basically been removed. So he's not going to be able to carry the momentum from his jump upward anymore. And they did fix the anti-heal. So now he used to be like his ult would go through anti-heal, and I sort of knew that was unintended. So his ult no longer goes through anti-healed. So if he is anti-healed, basically his ult's not going to work. It's not going to heal him. Like it'll work, but it's not. He's not going to get the heal from it, right? And that also was true in the death circle. So both of those sort of like unintended interactions have fixed. So it's basically like unintended interaction fixes. The biggest one I would say that's going to have like an impact on Brawl gameplay. Well, these two together. So the fact that you can't instantly reset, and these two were sort of working together, right? Where you could smash a wisp and get your ult reset and rise up off of this interaction. And so that kind of like, you know, putting people in the box and getting to the top of the map at the same time, interaction has been taken out. And then going down to equipment, coming to an amplifier nerf, which I kind of saw coming because it was just like so strong. And it's just hilarious that these specific changes are coming like 12 hours after I posted my Aluna guide, where I'm literally like showing how you can get completely infinite cooldowns utilizing amplifier. And now it's not like that anymore. I just find it funny. So basically, we're aiming to preserve unique builds that Amplifier provides while limiting some of the extreme edge cases oftentimes possible due to bugs. So abilities with multiple versions, like Kingpin's Dash or Aluna's Dash, like we were just talking about, will only benefit from Amplifier's cooldown reduction for the version being used. So before, if you use the ground dash and then use the air dash, they count towards the same Amplifier stacks. Now those are going to be, you know, basically on their own cooldown, which is kind of a big deal because now this is the one I like the least. I think they could have not done this one and done these other two, and it would have been fine. But I guess I can understand it. But basically, like now if you ground dash on a Luna and then you air dash, like that air dash is going to reset the ground dash charge. And you also no longer have a base charge. Like cooldown reduction benefit is calculated before increasing the stack count. And that basically means like before you had like a stack, like a pre-stack, like at least one on the right here showing in the buffs, it basically is like they took that base 5% away. So now you actually have to cast it to get one stack. And so instead of having like the 23% ability haste base, it has like just the 18% that's normally on the blade, right? And so these are, you know, this is pretty significant changes for quite a bit of hunters that are using it for like abilities that are not dash, it's not going to be as bad. But for characters like Kingpin, like a Luna, that could really like maximize the value of it with multiple dash forms, I think it is going to lose a bit of value. Have not seen very many people run this at all, but this is like a nerf to power user, where they're making it so you can't hold on to exotics with it. So power user is the one where if you clear 2 vaults, you get 10% cooldown reduction on your power cooldowns, not your abilities, but your power specifically. And that's stacks twice, so you can get extra 20% CDR on powers. And it used to soulbind your powers, and they're basically like taking away its ability to soulbind exotics. And you can see that's probably somehow linked to this exotic stuff down here that we're about to talk about, but it just seems a little like interesting to me because I haven't seen many people even using this strategy. Maybe there's just more than I've seen and I haven't been paying attention to it. But basically, like, you're not going to be able to take power user and use it to hold onto your exotics when you die, because that was the other benefit of power user, is you made your powers soulbound, which means when you could die, like get put in a box and get like resident beacon, you'd still have them. So now they basically just removed that from power user. That's this change. So then the last two power changes, we have changes to mana cloak. So they say, we've heard feedback that stealth is problematic in its current state, and we agree, especially in the ways that stealth enemies are signaled to you and how difficult it is to track/counter stealth hunters. While we anticipate more changes to the mechanic itself, we're hitting a current outlier that's causing significant frustration. And so basically, like, they're making mana cloak, stealth cloak, like harder to use. It's going to be triple the mana cost. And this is basically like, what this is saying is this is like a temporary change, or not temporary, but it's like a sort of like interim adjustment while they figure out a better way to make the stealth mechanic more like fair and gameplay better around it. All right, and then the last one is Power Shuffler. Exotics are too prevalent in the game and too easy to come by. We'll be taking a holistic approach to deal with this, but are disabling Power Shuffler in the interim to prevent extreme outliers. If you guys weren't aware, I think it was like there's a 5% chance when you're shuffling powers to get a exotic. And so that's like, that's basically like rolling a natural 20. That's like 1 out of 20. And so if you're shuffling like a good amount of the game, um, the odds that you're going to get a few to come through are like pretty good. And so I think, people that had figured this out and also were like hunting early, getting PvP kills, getting red keys and going get those exotics, were really stacking like a strong early exotic advantage. And like the intention of this change, it's literally just disabled for now. So you're literally not going to use Power Shuffler. And I saw people talking in the comments like thread under this post that like they should just remove the 5% gamble to get it up to, where it'll shuffle up to an exotic, or like it should shuffle within its own rarity tier. You know what I mean? So if you have like a blue power and you shuffle, it'll go to another blue power. I like that. That seems like reasonable. Power shuffle disabled for now. And so those are the hotfix balances that hit today. And we're actually going to have another like winter jubilee patch, like the bigger update that I think is happening like midweek, like normally planned. But this is basically the balance patch that just hit. So this is live now. And yeah, essentially in summary, pretty significant Hudson nerfs, some nerfs to Brall that are basically resolving unintended interactions but are going to affect his gameplay around wisps and the ult, and then nerf to Amplifier, especially around dashes, nerf to power users so you can't hold on to exotics permanently, and that same thing with exotics is kind of getting shown here in Power Shuffler with it being disabled, not being able to shuffle up to those exotic powers, and a bit of a nerf to the main stealth item to make stealth less oppressive while they work on it. So that's the hotfix. Hope that was useful. Remember to take care of yourself and keep vibing. I am working on the Jhin guide, guys. I swear it's coming in like real soon. I'm figuring it out. He's just like one of the newer hunters, and it's taken me a while. But I've been having some fun on him, and he's got some really cool potential. So stay tuned. Peace.